Tonight, evacuation order. Residents near Kelly Lake have been told to leave. More charges. A woman who killed her mother-in-law charged with assault. And legislative wrap. The Conservatives close out the spring session by walking out. Good evening and thank you for joining us. And we begin tonight with a wildfire burning out of control 18 kilometers southwest of Kelly Lake. Now the fire is burning near the Saskatchewan River and Highway 52. The blaze was discovered on Thursday night and has exploded to 1,100 hectares in size. People in Kelly Lake and the areas north of Campbell Lake, west of Tent Lake, south of Twins Lake, and east to the Alberta border are being told to evacuate immediately. The BC Wildfire Service says the Saskatchewan River wildfire poses a threat to human life. There's also an evacuation alert in place. Now, the BC Wildfire Service says air tankers and helicopters are fighting the fire. The fire is expected to spread beyond its current perimeter, and it's thought to be human-caused. Now, smoke may be visible from the fire in Dawson Creek and Tumbler Ridge. As the cold front moves through the area today, high winds are hampering firefighting efforts. Highway 52 was closed this afternoon as motorists are being urged to check with Drive BC. And another wildfire has broken out, this one 11 kilometers southwest of the Halfway River First Nation. The wildfire was discovered Wednesday and has grown to 5 hectares in size. It's burning out of control, but so far no word on a cause. The fire service says a crew of firefighters are on the ground, assisted by helicopters in the air. 46 wildfires are currently burning across northeast BC. The largest of those is the Etco Creek wildfire. The holdover fire is burning 67 kilometers northwest of Fort Nelson. It's grown to 13,000 hectares in size. And while the fight continues here in northeast BC, the province is stepping up its support for neighboring provinces affected by devastating wildfires. Close to 250 personnel and equipment will arrive in prairie provinces and Ontario in the next 48 hours. CTV's Iran Raymond has the details.
Neighboring provinces ravaged by wildfires won't fight them alone.
British Columbians know all too well the devastating impacts that wildfires can occur in our province, and our thoughts go out to all those that are impacted. It's why we've got a very strong working relationship with other provinces and are in a position to be able to provide resources, because we know that when trouble hits home here, other provinces have been there to support us as well.
Some of the largest evacuations are in Manitoba. 17,000 people have been forced to leave their homes, with over a quarter of them coming from the city of Flin Flon, near the Saskatchewan border.
The important thing is that I got out, same with my family, and to be honest, I was terrified. I really was.
We feel kind of scared on what's going to happen for us in the future. We weren't ready.
BC's Minister of Forests says 250 firefighters from the province will be on the ground in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Ontario by the end of this weekend. Members of the island's Coastal Fire Centre are among them.
While we are supporting other provinces and we are enacting open fire prohibitions this weekend, we are maintaining enough resources to address any incidents that should come up in the coastal area.
The province is getting ready to release a seasonal outlook as we near our hotter months.
Now is the time for you to be fire smart and to fire smart your communities.
And he hopes for rain through June. Yvonne Raymond, CTV News.
And Saskatchewan has declared a state of emergency for the province as 4,000 people there have been fled from their homes. The Premier says the declaration is for the next 14 days, but it can be extended. Well, a woman who savagely killed her mother-in-law in Dawson Creek is facing more charges. Candace Shear was found guilty of manslaughter in the 2016 death of Anna Shepherd. Shepherd was found dead in her bathroom of her home after being stabbed multiple times. Shear admitted to the crime, but said she suffered from a mental disorder. After being giving credit for time served, she was sentenced to 337 days in jail. Well, now the 30-year-old is facing charges of assault and uttering threats to cause death or bodily harm. The incident is alleged to have occurred on February the 10th in Dawson Creek. She was released by a judge on May the 12th, pending her next scheduled court court appearance. Well, the spring session of the legislature wrapped up in Victoria, albeit with some fireworks. Controversials Bill 14 and 15, both dramatic votes decided by the thinnest of margins. They passed thanks only to the House Speaker, NDP MLA Raj Chauhan, breaking the votes in a tie deemed confidence matters that could have toppled the government if they didn't pass. The bills aimed at fast-tracking energy and infrastructure projects now become law, but are both immensely unpopular. First Nations have said legal action is coming and protests are likely. And BC's Attorney General has sent a letter to her counterparts across the country. Nikki Sharma is asking for, I'm just going to keep going, okay? BC Attorney General has sent a letter to her counterparts in Ottawa. Nikki Sharma is asking for specific changes to the criminal code that would make it harder for violent repeat offenders to be let out on bail. The letter outlines proposed changes to a criminal code bail provision called the Principle of Restraint. The provision instructs judges to give primary consideration to the release of the accused at the earliest reasonable opportunity with the least onerous conditions. Sharma says she's hopeful the new federal government is ready to act on bail reform. A 4-year-old boy is dead, and his mother is in hospital in critical condition after a transit bus crashed into pedestrians outside the Horseshoe Bay Terminal in West Vancouver.
I heard screaming, and it was just horrible. I'm going to have nightmares.
West Vancouver police say speed was not a factor in the crash that saw the bus end up on the sidewalk, pinning the child and his mother underneath. The driver was questioned by police and is cooperating with the investigation. An Edmonton woman has been rearrested in British Columbia after she was mistakenly released from a Fort Saskatchewan jail.
And well, it was stressful because I thought I was free. Like, I didn't know now I'm on the run because of this.
24-year-old Mackenzie Harding was arrested along with a 27-year-old male in Revelstoke, BC. Police say the pair was seen walking away from a stolen vehicle and were arrested without incident. Hardy was wrongly released from an Edmonton area correction center last month. Officials there received fraudulent paperwork stating her charges had been stayed. In Alberta, a teenager has been charged with a terrorism offense. RCMP's National Enforcement Team says the 15-year-old was arrested earlier this month and is facing a fear of terrorism charge. Investigators say the offenses are related to the COM 764 network. Well, that's a transnational online ecosystem of violent online predators who routinely lure youth to commit acts of sexual and violent nature. The network is known to have extreme ideological views that radicalize children by desensitizing them. The teen is scheduled to appear in court next Tuesday. Well, Carter Hart, one of the 5 former World Junior players that's been charged with sexual assault, took the stand today in the explosive case being heard in London, Ontario. CJDC's Adrian Gabriel is outside the courthouse with details, some of which are very graphic.
Today marked the first time we've seen one of the accused take the stand at this trial. At the time of his arrest, Carter Hart was considered one of the best Canadian goalies playing in the NHL. During his testimony today, he claimed it was the alleged victim who was pressuring men inside the room to have sex with her. As they have for 6 consecutive weeks, the 5 accused former World Junior champion teammates entered this London, Ontario courthouse. With the prosecution closing their case, defense lawyer Megan Savard called her client, Carter Hart, to the stand. Calm and composed, Hart claimed that the alleged victim was growing annoyed that most of the players in the room weren't interested in having sex with her.
Diving save, Hart!
The former Philadelphia Flyer says he received oral sex for about 30 to 60 seconds before backing away, claiming it was a weird experience with teammates in the room. Hart told the court that this girl was wanting to do these things and asking guys to do these things with her. I was open to sexual encounters. As a single guy, I was having a good time that weekend. I was 19 years old, and there was a naked girl in the room, and it was something I'd never seen before.
Clearly, people are telling their own version of the events as they recall it, and the judge has to look at all of the evidence to determine what's credible, what's reliable.
With Mr. Hart's defense team calling him to the stand, what door does that open for the prosecution?
Well, it opens up cross-examination, right? It opens up an opportunity for the Crown to suggest things to the witness.
A young woman who we can only identify as EM claims that the alleged group sexual assault took place inside this London, Ontario hotel in June 2018 following a Hockey Canada gala. Former World Junior Team captain Dylan Dubé, Cal Foote, Hart, Michael McLeod, and Alex Fermenton have each been charged with sexual assault. McLeod is also facing one charge of being party to the offense. The Crown will begin their cross-examination of Carter Hart tomorrow.
Adrian Gobriel, CTV News.
Canada Post and its union are back at the negotiating table today after the Crown Corporation tabled what it calls its last offer. Union members have been in a legal strike position since last Friday, but so far only an overtime ban is in place. It comes as Canada Post reported an operating loss of over $1 billion last year. For a few hours yesterday, some of Donald Trump's tariffs were quashed by a U.S. federal court. Earlier today, Mark Carney even reacting to the news, but the reprieve was short-lived. As CTV's Michael Couture shows us, an emergency appeal has brought us back to square one.
Stock markets opened higher on the news of the court ruling against U.S. tariffs, while Prime Minister Mark Carney pointed out the decision was consistent with Canada's argument
that the U.S. IEEPA tariffs were unlawful as well as unjustified.
On April 2nd, President Donald Trump had imposed global tariffs on nearly every country using the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. The court ruling blocked those tariffs and the ones imposed under the guise of forcing Canada to increase border security and to stop fentanyl from going into the United States. But others remain in place.
We recognize that our trading relationship with the United States is still profoundly and adversely threatened and affected by similarly unjustified 232 tariffs against steel, aluminum, and the auto sector.
The reprieve still leaves a lot in limbo for businesses on this side of the border.
It's a real impact on business, and the uncertainty is what's toxic for business. Not knowing the rules of the game, having a constant on-again, off-again whipsaw effect.
That's because the U.S. ruling also pointed out a number of other avenues Trump could take to impose tariffs. For example, retaliating against Canada's digital sales tax.
He could go to Section 891, which of the income tax code, which has never been used before, but 50% tariffs on any Canadian corporation functioning in the United States.
Prime Minister Carney reiterated the need to strengthen trading relationships with allies and between provinces, and that is at the top of the agenda when he meets with premiers next week. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meantime, Donald Trump was dealt another setback in court today. A U.S. judge ordered the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department not to make any changes to Harvard's student visa program indefinitely. Visa interviews for international students admitted to schools across the U.S. were halted on Tuesday by Trump. The school had sued the government to block the international enrollment ban. Today, the district court judge says she's moving forward with a court order to stop the revocation of the student visa program. The man charged with driving his vehicle into a crowd of Liverpool fans on Monday has been charged. The charges include intentionally causing grievous bodily harm and 6 other serious counts. Police say the investigation is at an early stage as investigators review a huge volume of evidence. Nearly 80 people were injured. 7 remain in hospital, all in stable condition. Police have said the driver was believed to have acted alone and they do not suspect terrorism. He'll make his first court appearance tomorrow. All right, please do stay tuned. I'll be right back after the break with weather.